So we believe to stop marketing and start engaging. And that's what we're doing over at DevHub. Is that now the focus is no longer just about let's sell you something on why Near is the best developer experience, which it is, right? We all know it. That's why we're here. But we want to actually start to engage you as a user and better understand what do you need and how do we help you be successful instead of us trying to put our product to you. So we believe.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of DevHub Live. Excited to have everyone join us. We have a really exciting episode today, lots of stuff jam-packed, so we're going to get right to it, and I want to make sure that we don't waste any time. There are some events coming up, specifically ETH Berlin, and there's also the Brew event that's there. So I'm going to bring Boris from DevHub to come talk about what that's all about and remind everyone about our awesome bounty program as well. Hey, Boris.
Hey, hello everyone. How are you? Hey, Joe, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you
Okay,
just
nice.
fine. Nice.
Yeah. So thank you for having me again, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. So what's happening in Berlin?
So we're having two. I mean, the main event is ETH Berlin, that is happening on the 20 after 24, and before that we're having an event called Brew. So the ETH Berlin this year is around privacy. It's about mostly on that privacy, and they are trying to bring into the hackathon projects are on that direction. So we are not sponsoring the hackathon this year, but we are having participating in the event the day before on the 23rd that is called Brew, and the Brew will have we'll do some presentation. We'll have coding sessions, technical support, and we will have something like let's call it a soft hackathon. So if you the any hacker that submits an initial idea and do some basic uh, submission, they will have some. They will get I think $150, and we want it to be a Brew also as ETH Berlin is also focused on the privacy. So the main idea is whatever they build on during Brew, they can use to complete the hackathon.
Nice.
And even though we won't be sponsoring the hackathon, we will be around during the hackathon. We will be walking around, chilling on the tables, supporting anyone that want to keeps working on need for the main hackathon will be around. So they will have
Awesome.
all the support they want. And also remember that the boosters, the bounty boosters, are in full force here. So if you win, I don't know, $7,000 in this hackathon, we will match you $7,000, as long, of course, that you use Near. So we will, and that's the end. We want you to come to Brew, attend the coding sessions, the workshops, the presentations, build the basis of what you're doing in the hackathon, and then on the hackathon build on Near and get those bounties, and then we will match you. So yeah, so that's in short what is happening these days, from starting on the 23rd in Berlin.
Nice. No, it's exciting, and as always, we're available at DevHub online as well through all our different groups. I did see that you are speaking. What's your topic at Brew?
Yeah, so we we've been discussing the subject of the talk. They wanted to be more based on privacy, so we've been discussing it. But I think at the end we're gonna go how you can you know leverage chain abstraction to create privacy and trust in your application. That I think it's going to be in that direction. There have been a couple of changes, and we haven't decided in the last version, but I think it's going to go in that direction.
Exciting stuff.
I also I put
Go
you
ahead.
there the links for Brew. You already have it there. So, and also for the East Berlin. So if you want to share with the community, so if they want to attend, they haven't signed up for Brew or for East Berlin. I think there's still time, so they can go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this is all great stuff. And really, I think, as you said, the opportunity to have still, while it's not a formal hackathon, it's not actually, we're not doing our own formal bounties there. There's still opportunities to leverage near, earn some extra cash. It's a great event all the way around. And then this is coming up. It's a good lead up because obviously, ECC is right around the corner. So it's a good like warm up to get everybody going.
Definitely.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
If you just want to chill out your ideas, even if they are not for East Berlin, just want to start the conversation about ETC,
Yep.
we will be there. Also, we'll have the mean based team helping us a lot. Bounties and stuff from us will be based on if you can deploy something in mean base, so they will have full support from them too.
Exciting. Awesome stuff. Boris, thank you so much for coming on, giving everybody the information, and I look forward to seeing you over in Berlin.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All
Okay,
right.
bye everyone.
Thanks. All right. That's exciting. And again, look, I've stressed every week now since we announced it, the Bounty Booster program is by far one of the easiest ways to just, leverage something on Near and make extra cash. So we're not saying to redo your whole project in Near. There's a lot of opportunities. Again, I'll put the link here at the bottom. Make sure you come check out all the details there on the website, and you can get started. And it's kind of awesome opportunity for you to build on Near. Speaking of which, I'm excited about this. So at DevHub, we're not there just to provide support or provide some like funding for some public goods. We are there also as builders. DevHub was built by developers, and so we actually use the stuff that we are providing support to. We are actually helping build out these things, and I'm so excited to have Vlad from DevHub come on. He's going to break down not just some of the stuff that we actually have available on Near, but how we're actually implementing it into production to build the stuff that makes up DevHub and some of the different parts of that. So let's bring Vlad on up. Hey, Vlad, thanks for joining.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, Joe, for having me. And I'm excited to walk through in and out of DevHub stack and how it's built as DevHub as a platform, as a portal. Has a lot of Near features actually extensively used, and I will hopefully feature all of them today if we'll have enough time.
I think that that's a great point. We probably could do this for hours. We'll try to stay in our normal time. But before we jump into DevHub, for people who don't know, can you just give a little background of like your connection to Near, how you got started, and kind of your developer experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm joking that I started building Near or like being part of Near journey back in 2006 or something. The reason is I was actually pretty excited about the software engineering, which I didn't know this term back in the days at school, where I started hacking a lot of like chat applications and also I competed in different programming contests where we actually met with Ilya, who's a co-founder of Near. And that's where we started building some of the projects together, not only competing during the competitions. And then it was in and out. Our journey was crossing it or going parts, but overall, after several years of discussing near AI and me not really knowing how I can help there, then this near protocol project appeared on the landscape, and we were starting discussing what would be the features and how it would be just different from all the existing solutions, and why do we actually need to build it, given that so many other blockchains are on the landscape. And to turn out, it's like even though there are many alternatives out there, I feel like nobody puts a simple idea in front of them to just make the blockchain mass adopted to our day-to-day life, just like TCP/IP. People do not care about TCP/IP on the daily basis, but we are speaking here heavily utilizing this technology and the internet as on the conceptual level of decentralized peers of routers connecting the world to communicate, to transfer the data. There is a missing bit in this picture of decentralized way of storing and arriving to a conclusion, to a consensus of the state of the data. And the Bitcoin showed a pretty good use case for actually that is needed. You need to store the information about the balances, but beyond that, it's not only balances. After all, it's any data you need to arrive to, and there are many applications, many use cases where you don't have a single trusted entity that you can assign to be the holder of the data, and basically then this technology, which doesn't need central storage, appeared, and we are building it on top of it. And DevHub portal tries to leverage all of it. And today we'll talk exactly what does it mean and why it's cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's an awesome introduction to yourself. I think it might be also some good context. So you were heavily involved in some of the initial tools that were here on Near. So the original Explorer, correct? And some other things.
So well, I started when the protocol was still in its infancy, and there were a lot of ideas floating around. But then it was also clear that we need the tooling to leverage the blockchain, and we need the visibility to the blockchain. So one of the first projects indeed that I jumped in was the Explorer. But on my way, I was basically working across the stack, contributing to the near core, missing bits of API, RPC API to be then used on the Explorer side. And we built indexer framework. We built other solutions, CLIs and SDKs. So yeah, I'm
well versed.
I have a lot of background there.
yeah, for sure. So let's get started and let's talk a little bit about so DevHub as a portal and as a platform. How would you start to describe that to something? What does that mean when we say what that is?
Well, yeah, just like with the missing bit of the internet regarding the storage, we felt like there is a missing bit in Near ecosystem regarding the community and alignment of all the developers to be on the same page, to have a single source of truth and single view on the world through the developer's lens. So we mostly focus on the developers who are interested to try or to contribute to the blockchain, and the idea was to provide end-to-end solution with the permissionless solution to build communities, to share your knowledge and your cool projects with the rest of the community, ideally as fast as possible. And also to get funding, to get support in a just like informational support or technical support. It's not necessarily, not every problem is solvable by money.
Right.
We actually need this just exposure to the right minds, and this is where DevHub, I believe, shines, bringing on all those building blocks and allowing people to run from there.
Awesome. Let's maybe you want to kind of walk through. So should we bring it up here?
Yeah, well, if I may share the screen, that would be the best, probably.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Awesome. Let me try this one.
All right.
So let's start with just the landing page then. So we are all on the same page. When you arrive to the portal today, you will be greeted with this information that you are right at home. So it's a home base for near builders. And we also feature some of the core concepts like awesome DevX and the feature of the protocol being the horizontal scalable, and many of other resources. We also have the communities where everybody is free to just start their own journey and their own group and share the updates regarding everything that that excites them. So it's a nice starting point. And then we have the proposals, and this is another like aspect of the portal where we have a lot of cool ideas and contributors to our success. So this is where it all starts. But then you can discover many more, like blog and newsletter and just regular calendar events, just like this one.
Yep.
You could have found it there. And obviously you can also take our brand kit and start building some beautiful, nice apps with a bit of a DevHub brainy in it. Yeah, Joe, do you want to add anything else here?
No, I think this is a great start. And one of the things that sticks out, and so people who don't know about it might be a little confused. So at the very top, right, it says near social. So can we explain a little bit of like what actually is going on here, and like, so how is like DevHub inside of this other thing?
Absolutely. So, well, I actually wanted to jump into it step by step, but it's actually the very starting point. The near social is the very novel idea, I would say, that started back last year in the ecosystem. That is at the like technical implementation detail is geniusly simple. We basically have a single application stored on the blockchain, and that application just manages the data that you throw at it. So if you are the sending it from your account, you're signing the transaction with your account access key, then it just records it inside that inside its own local storage.
Right.
And what kind of data we can store there? And in here we can store anything because it's fairly cheap to store data. And what we ended up storing there was JavaScript code, user profiles, and all the data about their what excites them and what they are building. but also we store even the posts, the blog posts,
Right.
in Markdown format. So, and we even store the likes. So basically, the sky's the limit. And with this very simple but very powerful building block, there are many applications, and including DevHub being just one of them. So when you navigate to that page, devhub.near/widget/app is basically just a JavaScript code that stored on chain. You can always view it. So this is it, and this JavaScript code, which some of you may recognize as React-like, is basically pulled from the blockchain by this so-called gateway, and it starts rendering it right in your browser. So when you can even go and change the domain name to a different gateway, so-called. So near.org also serves as a gateway, and boom, we have the very very same website, but with a different sauce around it, and different design choices maybe. So if we go to BossGG, for example, it's very different. You can see that even the fonts got edited.
Overrides it, yeah.
But it's awesome. We have the same app living all across the internet, and you can even host it yourself, and you will be having your own website basically.
Yeah, truly decentralized code at this point, and fully composable as well, which I think, as someone who's iterating, right, prototyping, but then also even going to production, we see apps like DapDap for DeFi that are leveraging this in production.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So
from there, where do we go?
Sure. So, well, I even prepared a few slides, but we already went through a bunch of them. So let me start with a high level at least on the DevHub side. So DevHub tag, DevHub platform, this portal tag consists of three big components. Let's put it this way. The UI part, which we just experienced and saw, then which is implemented using these near components, also known as boss components, which we just saw in a preview of the source code. Looks like React code, but it's actually stored on chain and then executed in your browser in a dedicated VM. Then there is a data storage, which is a so-called contract or application that is running on the blockchain. In our case, it's implemented using NearSDK RS. So it's Rust at its core, and it manages the permissions and just consistency of the data. And there is also optimization layer in between. Basically, we index and cache the data from the contract side, so we can query and list data faster without overloading the RPC nodes. If we dive a bit into it, we just saw that the UI is implemented. Sorry. UI implementation is plain JavaScript, so pretty familiar for many of the developers, I would say, in modern world. The other building blocks that you may want to learn about are near components gateways, which I just showed you. This is BossGG, near.social, near.org, and many more. They are maintained by various entities in your ecosystem. As a developer of the UI libraries, you don't need to care about those gateways, to be honest. That's the beauty of it. And the gateways solve a very important problem for you. They solve the onboarding of the users. So once user is onboarded on one gateway, they can access all other apps, and they don't need to re-log in on every single small application out there. I hate just creating one like new accounts on every single website, even
Right.
if they have integrated OAuth with some social platforms. They still, like, each of them, I don't know what access, what they will do with my data, what they will do, like what's going on there, basically.
Yeah.
With the gateways concept, I need to only trust one gateway, which I'm familiar with, for example, near social, and I'm comfortable with using it. And the gateway guards the apps, so it limits the apps from what they can do, which is blessing and curse. From the app developer, you need to comply with those constraints. But just like, I don't know, iOS development, Android development, if you're familiar with those, they also provide you only set of APIs. You cannot go and talk to the kernel directly.
Right.
So
Exactly.
security aspects are a norm, and that's not that's out of question that we need it. Other building blocks that we'll leverage are, or like not directly actually, but through the gateways, is fast auth, and like in combination with meta transactions, which allows, for example, near.org gateway users to interact with the applications without even needing near tokens.
Right.
In the first place, they just go and experience this pre-standard Web 2 interactions, and they may only need to discover how to operate their own account later on, maybe months in, when
Right.
they actually want to be in control of everything, single transaction, and their account. But it's a beautiful way to get people up and running in no time, with not bothering them with creating an account, remembering the seed phrase, topping up the balance with just a minimum amount of near, which is not
Yeah.
important for the first entry experience. So that is what, like, you can learn more about fast auth. There were a lot of YouTube videos and conference presentations lately. Social DB is the other building block that I mentioned, and let's maybe dive into it a little bit to understand more. So at the essence, Social DB is is an application for near blockchain, so-called smart contract. Is deployed under the social.near account, and it's a Rust application. So if you're familiar with Rust development, you will find all the regular files in the repo. You'll feel right at home. So it's pretty minimum. And when I'm saying that it's deployed there, so it's compiled to WebAssembly. Just to recap, basically the applications in here are deployed to the blockchain in the form of WebAssembly binaries. So any language, not only Rust, could be used to develop smart contracts. And let's go and quickly interact with this application at a very low level using curl.
Sure.
So where is my prepared command? So here's the HTTP service that we interact with. This is one of the many RPC, near RPC providers that you can use curl to make a post request. You just specify that you want to use JSON as your transferred for encoding, data encoding, and the data that you are passing is the query request with certain parameters. And what are the parameters? So the request is to call a function. So if you're familiar with RPC, remote procedure calls, so no surprises, we are calling a function. Here we are specifying basically the name of the application. You can view it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go and say, on that application, I want to call this function called get. And then you specify arguments in a base64 encoded format. Let's see what's actually in there. Oops. So I had this, it's a Python shell. So let's see, B64 decode. Here we go. So it was just another JSON object with keys and array of this string.
Mm-hmm.
And this string is basically our devhub.near/widget/app. Just a quick reminder. This is where what we saw right here in the URL. So when the gateway interacts with the serves is this entry to the world of both components, near social concept, what it basically does, it makes this small HTTP call to the server. So let's run it. Oh wow! So we got some data. This is like, I'll do this just one time for everybody to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And going forward, we'll not try to read bytes. These are just ASCII codes of characters that you need to convert to some string. So let's do join of those CSR symbols for C in, and I'll paste this huge array into here. Oops, it was not a huge array. Boom. And I hit enter. Now I see that this was the payload. Still not very readable, but at least you can see that there is a DevHub widget app. So this is the key that we asked the near social to respond to us. And then the JavaScript code that we actually saw when we were doing this preview right here, view source. So this is the main entry point for the DevHub application. Let's compare it. This is the main entry point for the DevHub application. So here we go.
Nice.
The beauty of this whole thing is that given that the near protocol is decentralized and anybody can run the node for near protocol, you can completely run it standalone. The RPC, the gateway, and be totally in charge of all the services. But at the same time, you can delegate part of it to different runners. So this is what is happening. RPC is served by Pagoda entity in near ecosystem, this particular one that I was interacting with.
Right.
This gateway is run by a different team near social, and this is very composable.
Let's take a little step back. I think so. There's so much stuff here that I think if I'm a developer, maybe I'm coming from Web 2. What are some things though that I can kind of compare this to? Because I think what happens possibly is like you see this like, yeah, I can work in React. I understand that. I can pull this all together. But now I have these things like, a smart contract and, this RPC that, how would you kind of describe that of like, what is the parallel that now we're changing?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty simple. Well, let's do several comparisons. So maybe it will click for different type of people with different experiences. Probably one of the ways to describe it is through serverless analogy. So the smart contract is just basically an application that you deploy to the service, but instead of deploying your application to AWS or GCP infrastructure, which can decide to switch it off or to do anything with it, you deploy it to the blockchain, and then you interact with your application, not directly, not going to AWS, but instead you interact with the RPC nodes. And RPC nodes are your basically API service or API gateway or reverse proxy like Nginx, for example, which just knows how to route. It's a frontier of the service, and it just knows how to route the requests down to the application. And those applications, the serverless so-called application, a contract or app in here, it has its own local storage. It has we have some SDKs, and it can also interact with other applications that are alike and stored on the same blockchain, which allows us to be even more composable and build more apps, because your interface is now not the HTTP that could be not available at a certain point. You actually are, the applications are internally communicating with each other through the protocol primitives, so-called cross-contract calls. But let's not go too deep into it, right? Back to the analogy, the serverless is the backend. So the contracts are basically backends,
right?
With a mixture of a database and a compute, and you have a standardized API that you can expect to talk with your application. So you don't need to worry about REST versus RPC. You just use one, and that's in my opinion just easier,
Yep.
And on the front end side, it's even simpler. There is no limit. You just interact with the standard HTTP service, and you can build apps using Angular, React, plain jQuery, JS, and not JS at all, like Python apps, Flutter, whatnot. There are many ways how you can interact with the external HTTP service. But this particular example that I'm showing how DevHub is built, that's another layer of abstraction where we say, okay, let's provide a different tooling to also host the front-end code on the blockchain, so we don't ever lose the application. Because if we only solve the problem of decentralized application backend, it's good, but it's not very useful if there is no front end, because we are humans,
right?
And we interact with the clicking on the buttons.
For sure.
And it was a challenge, like just on a conceptual level, when we were talking about this concept of DApps, decentralized applications, and we didn't feel completely honest with the other developers of saying, well, it's decentralized, because, well, the data is indeed stored on chain and you can see how it's decentralized there, but the dead apps are not of any good.
Right.
So, and this is why we build this, we see this emerge of near social, and how it was very welcome change in Web3 space, I would say. And its simplicity using just JavaScript with a bit of a extra API available to it makes things just so much easier to build those D apps. But at the end of the day, these are plain like CSS instances, plain like if use effect states, fetch
Right.
calls. So they are not. There is nothing custom. There is nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Many of blockchain ecosystems actually didn't communicate very well, or didn't have the tooling to communicate it, to make it really simple. And that's what I see Near to be very powerful at actually providing very intuitive and well-known tools, and just package them nicely in such a way that you can if you had prior experience with JavaScript, it would take you less than an hour to just figure out, okay, there is a special widget component and what and props and that's all. When you pass you have like global variable props. That's all you need to know.
And you can reuse other people's code, right? So
yep.
When you think about the speeding up of development, to go from, again, like an idea to a prototype or whatever else, like you can get there so quickly, and you don't have to deploy all this infrastructure either.
Yep.
You just can go.
Yeah, I have a few examples where I went to the hackathons and I was just talking to participants and talking about this how to have the front end deployed in less than like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, teams were like showing immediate like how it's immediately useful for them, how it's empowering them, instead of setting up a new account somewhere, new server, and getting some credentials to deploy it. Absolutely. And even Vercel, like I don't want to play like I'm not familiar
right
trying to solve this very same problem for Web2 space.
Yeah.
Even with that, what I see a lot is after the hackathon, those apps that were built, that people spent their time building, are just dead, like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
When you deploy them on chain, you don't need to pay for it to be there, and it's pretty trivial to then find it. So I believe it was Plantation Station. Yeah, let's try. Last year during the hackathon. Oops, it happened. Why blank page? Well, anyway, but the idea is that those apps are just keep living beyond just
Sure.
a couple of weeks around the hackathons or when you start them.
Yeah, no, and I think from like a learning perspective too. So, right, you coming into the ecosystem, and you're saying, like, what are other people doing? How do other people do this? It's almost like a user-generated documentation where you can go through all of this different component code and just see, like, oh, I could use this for my thing, and this is why we talk about, like, it all fits together, right? It's why we talk about the bounty booster of like, hey, look, you can still build on ETH, you can still build someplace else, but you can now do your front end here, and you're leveraging the power of all the stuff that we're showing you right now of decentralized multiple gateways. And we all know as developers, a lot of times that front end is the last thing in a hackathon that you're going to do. So as you have that last few hours, you can still knock something out and actually have a great presentation that before you really just didn't have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I saw the teams who didn't have a front end engineer, or like the person who had experience with any JavaScript front end code, and they actually successfully submitted the project just combining the a bit of AI Figma and
Yeah.
then putting it into near components, just deploying them as, because it's at the end of the day it's simple HTML.
Right.
If you just look at it, so we have, oh come on, why it's unloading from this? It's not liking me today.
That's okay. Hey, well, that's the excitement of live, right? So no problem.
Yeah, so if you look, I ported one of the so-called Web 1
Yeah.
website back in the days. I just copied all the CSS
Mm-hmm.
file, wrapped it around the rest of the HTML, and then basically ended up with this website, which
Awesome.
lives now on chain,
Yeah.
and it's a full clone of this website at the point when I took it.
Takes that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's a cool little feature.
But it's
Which is
a cool,
showing that.
you know, Web
Yeah.
1 to Web 3 upgrade.
Right. Yeah, and the piece of like again, like it's there now for as long as the chain is live, and the chain is decentralized, so there's nothing really stopping anyone else from always running a node and having this available. It really changes the perspective of what it means for data and everything else, and data ownership too. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
So where do we
Because
go from
now
here?
the data that we have uh, is available through myriad of services, be it Explorer, be it the dedicated web UI, be it maybe mobile
Hmm.
app, CLI. Suddenly you have this universal API to your app. So you build it once and you open it to the world. So it's like open source deployment. I view
Yep.
this way.
Yep.
So you basically have pretty powerful thingy out of the box, and you don't need to. And the beauty is that you don't need to. Uh, you know, spend more time to do it. You actually
Right.
spend less.
Right. Yeah. No, I the time part is huge, because again, I think especially if you are a solo dev, if you are in a small team, whatever it might be, like the time sometimes is your scarcest resource, and so being able to accelerate any of this is just a big benefit.
Yeah, and you also have this full transparency and visibility. One thing that I want to also touch base a little bit is uh, the stigma around blockchains being used for inappropriate things. But the
Mm,
reality is that in the blockchain, you can actually track things down if you need to, and
sure.
understand where they come from. And there are still, like, if you put encrypted data on chain, that's not very helpful for anybody else but the reader or whoever has the keys. But still, you can. I think the blockchains are actually solving the problems. For example, for fake news, like
Sure.
origin of information can be tracked. So it's quite the opposite of what people fear the blockchains are.
Yeah, great point, and that's something that I think is so important. If you look at some different, if you're looking at crypto and you're looking at building a blockchain, and you look at a lot of the stuff that we're trying to do here at Near, it's really about, like, the degen stuff is fun and all, but like there's really about the practicality of what you can actually start to build, and the transparency that is actually truly there as you dive into it, from whether it be code verification, information verification, user ownership, whatever that might be, it is actually more transparent than anything else that's on Web 2. And so it's just about getting used to some of these tools and getting used to some of these processes.
Yep. Exactly. So how about we dive into a bit deeper than UI?
Yeah, let's go further. Let's do it.
So the data storage, we just touched a little bit about it, but what actually before we go there, the UI, you can find the repo right here on near DevHub GitHub repo, and there is a DevHub boss, and it's pretty standard JavaScript project, I would say, with package.json and stuff like this, and you can find all the information how to run it yourself if you need. I mean, you can view the source code directly on the Near Social. This is our just CI/CD pipelines and collaboration is built here. Moving to the contract side, we have the pre-standard Rust project, and this is where you recognize cargo toml, cargo log, and just src folder with tests and all the standard Rust tooling, and everything is available to you. We even have pretty cool extensions to Cargo. Cargo allows you to just do like Cargo build and then Cargo deploy. You don't need to, unless you want to deploy your own version of DevHub contract. Obviously, you can, and you probably should if you want to really play around it. But other than that, it's already there, it's already deployed, and you can just go in and interact with it. So, for example, this nice CLI that I didn't have a chance to show you before. It's very interactive. Oops. Let me make the font a little bit. Come on.
There you go.
It became too big. Anyway, so when I can interact with it using just arrows on my keyboard. So when I'm interacting with the contract, which is an app on here, I can call a function, and I can call it as a read-only, which is free of charge. You don't need to pay for it at all. You only pay for what you want to put on chain. If you are just reading it, unless you use a production grade for a service with a lot of load from your server, you don't need to pay for the read requests. And let's interact with the DevHub contract application, and let's, for example, see the access control info on that contract. So it actually pulled in the list of available functions for me, and I can provide some parameters to it. There are no parameters, so I'm just sending an empty JSON object. I'm interacting with the mainnet, which is the main network on here. And the beautiful part of the blockchain is you can often query the historical view of the world at any point in time. But in this case, I want to take the latest version. And that's all. You basically have this beautiful JSON in response. You can view who has certain permissions. So that's part of the internal implementation. We don't need to get into it. But the idea is that you have, this is just a client, and the server is standardized. It follows near protocol standard, and we can easily interact with it. And this is the app we built. And if you go, you can see quite a few. So it's fairly big application. for Near. And we leverage a lot of building blocks, obviously, such as view and change methods,
Right.
which is the main thing you want to have your application in order to interact. So the view ones that are read-only, change those that you want to you will need to call with the transaction, submit a transaction trigger to the chain. And then there are dedicated data collections to efficiently store the data inside your application in this local storage. And there are, as I mentioned, there are cross-contract, cross-application calls. And this is also very useful. And this is the way how the applications inside the blockchain can interact with each other in a reliable way. And I have touched a little bit the social DB concept, which is a separate contract available to everybody as well, but it's designed in such a way that we have those likes, blog posts, social profiles, and even the UI elements, Near components, stored as a text over there. And we also integrate, so back to where we all started, it's DevHub, reminding you. The DevHub portal uses the social DB not only for the UI storage, but we also very deeply integrate with social DB profiles and social feed. And whenever you interact with the DevHub communities, they are actually creating sub-accounts for you and under the hood, and use the social DB power to keep track of the feed. And the funny part that I want to just briefly mention to everybody is there is a Web4 which actually exists for over 2 years these days. Also pretty cool concept of basically putting your server-side rendering inside this blockchain contract. You only need to implement one function with the name web4_get, and there is a different gateway, web4 gateway in this case, which just translates your get HTTP requests into Near protocol requests and back. And this way you can get HTML generated by the code on the blockchain and displayed back. And we use it for previews of the links that we sent over. As I mentioned, just running through it, indexing and caching layer, we use Query API, which is indexing the data on as it appears on the blockchain into a Postgres database. You don't need to be shy of using the Web2 technologies. It's actually like, it's not one, you choose one over another. You need to leverage both actually. Like Web3 is not exclusive, and Web2 is much more efficient when it comes to reading the data. But there is no solution to update the data on the world in a decentralized way. So that's where Web3 is needed. And then you will also have this pretty standard CI/CD using GitHub Actions with CLIs, Cargo Near CLI RS, Post CLI RS, and testing frameworks using pretty standard Playwright and our Near ecosystem, Near Workspaces RS toolkit. Yeah.
I think there's so many great little points here, and I really just want to highlight for people, especially again if you're new to blockchain, that you said a great line there of like, you still need the Web2 stuff, but like it really hasn't changed. Like you're still we're not giving a new way to code. We're not giving a new way to build something. It is a different paradigm of how things maybe get deployed in the use of smart contracts and things like that, and interacting with the chain. But it is all still there. You're still like this. The tooling is still similar to other things that you maybe have seen before, and I think in some ways, personally, some things are actually probably even better. I don't think we probably could spend like a whole hour on just the Near CLI, but that's something where like those are the things that we are really trying to optimize here at Near for developers. And you see a tool like that, all of the intimidating stuff of how do I test my contract, how do I interact with different contracts, how do I deploy, is really getting simplified, being able to do it with these command line tools, which is where most developers are living anyways. And so we're not trying to change your workflow, we're not trying to change your setup. We're just saying, look, these are opportunities here that can maybe boost what you're trying to build already, things like that. I want to just take a moment and, with everything that was being built here at DevHub and using these stuff, what are some things that maybe like could be improved? Like what are, we talk about all the good stuff that we're doing. Like what are some things that maybe like still need to be worked on and get better?
Yeah, it's definitely not all unicorns and roses. There are a lot of inefficiencies and optimizations on the table. This near social gateways, user experience or developer experience is still like improving in the process of just building better tooling around it. There is a need for more visibility to the processes. Just like today, I tried to present you to just wanted to paint a picture of how it could be put together. But
Right.
ideally, there would be a place where it would be much more in a shorter format, presented, visualized. So it's much easier to understand how pieces could be brought together. As you have seen, it's not just one SDK that we use. It's actually a combination of many, which are based on efforts of different teams in the ecosystem. It's not just one company or one team is building it. It's a truly open source effort of providing building blocks and slowly building on top of each other.
Yeah, great point. I mean, that is the thing here too, right? Everything is open source. I just put a link up. So the Near developer experience, you can go right to that GitHub. You can see all the tools that are available to you, all the different pieces that go into all of this. Some of that we just showed you. There's even more that you could start to explore. You can contribute if you have things that you want to upgrade, things you want to change. It is a collaborative process. The idea here, again, is we are trying to build the open web. And what that means is not just about leveraging stuff that comes out of, like, we'll call it near proper, right? It's, tons of other teams that are contributing and building other stuff. The Explorer that you just showed, Near Blocks, right? That's their own team that are doing things like that. And so those are things that are definitely opportunities for developers to come in. Really, really great stuff. As we kind of wrap up a little bit on this part here, anything that, what would be like a next step for someone who wants to learn a little bit more of like what they just saw? What would you recommend?
That's a good point. I think we have a lot of opportunities to as a starting point to get into the community. I would say start with the community. There are plenty on DevHub that you can discover, and most importantly, find the chats of people interacting with each other. There is also near.chat Discord, which holds the whole a lot of aspects of near community. There are also other platforms on Telegram and Zulip, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Everywhere we have the community, and we try to actually be, and like we encourage people to be where they're comfortable, and just find like-minded people. We definitely cannot cover all the media ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
I love this initiative of DevHub Live that hopefully brings more people to one place to then discover more. And the DevHub Communities tab could help you with finding the relevant communities and their local chats, where you can then start picking the brain of the community to learn more. And it's very important to never stop learning.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that there's so much, I've been around for a few years now, and so much has changed from when I first, was around the Near ecosystem. And I think everywhere, right? Everywhere in tech, if you're into, hopefully you'd love learning, and there's a lot of opportunities here. And it's very welcoming. We want you to ask questions. We want you to come into the chats. Truly, there is no bad question kind of thing where we don't expect everyone to understand blockchain, crypto, any of that stuff. So junior developer, senior developer, whatever you might be, coming from wherever you are, even if you're in crypto and you just want to learn more about what Near is doing different, please come ask questions. We will certainly there to help you with all that. I'm sure, we'll definitely have to have you on, come talk more about tooling. I know you're heavily involved with a lot of the different tooling that is on within the ecosystem. And so it would be good to do some of that. And speaking of tooling, we just showed off the stuff of building components. We actually have Jutsu next week coming on here, and they're going to talk about kind of how they are speeding up some of that development process as well. So this is all kind of building on each other, and we hope that people are getting some tips out of here that we can go for. Any last things before I let you go? That was a great presentation. I really appreciate that.
That was great, yeah. And also, just one thing that came to my mind regarding where you can get more info and more like a picture what's going on is this newsletter .near.devhub.org that you can see in the bottom of the screen. And definitely every week a lot of information is just bombarded there with online events, call for help in the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Where's resources, where to, what's new is launched. So definitely must subscribing and must read every single week.
Absolutely. That's everyone says it's so hard to keep up. We make it simple. There is so much. The newsletter always is like, you have to do some scrolling to see it all, but that just shows how much is happening, how much you can get involved with. So yeah, great point. We'll end on that. So again, yeah, thanks. We'll certainly have you back again soon, but appreciate you coming on.
That's awesome. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Vlad.
Keep building.
Yes, absolutely. That was great, guys. That was super exciting. I hope if you missed any part of this, you can always go back and rewind, and you can watch this whole thing. We post the replays on YouTube on our Near DevHub YouTube channel. So please, you can go back and check that out and follow along with all this different stuff and see more and ask questions. We'll be happy to do that. Let's wrap up. We have our new segment, Tweet of the Week, and I don't want to get rid of that. So let's make sure let's do that. And this one is, I think, hopefully if you're following along in the Near ecosystem, and if you're not, that's okay too. But we are, so recently, you may have saw a promotion from the Near protocol main one about, you see some, reclaim your sovereignty, and there is some cryptic stuff and everything else. There is an event coming in November called Redacted. I would highly encourage everyone who is interested in building, if you are a developer, if you are just a builder, entrepreneur, if you're interested in, again, user-owned data, if you're interested in what it means to have blockchain-based AI, if you're looking to learn more about what chain abstraction means, this is going to be the event for you. There's going to be lots of information coming out over the months leading up to November. You can actually go right now and you can go and sign up at the waitlist to get more information regularly. It's It's going to be super informational. It's going to be opportunity to do some building. So we really want you to encourage and follow along. Check this out. Follow us on Near DevHub on Twitter. Go to the Near Protocol account. Do that. I would, again, go here and sign up. There's going to be all different things over time to actually go and become a part of that. Here, I'm going to put this right here at the bottom banner here so you guys can all sign up for that and stay in touch, because this is where, if they say, looking for alpha, you're looking for, the next big thing. A lot of stuff's going to come out of that. So please follow along with that. With that said, this was another episode of DevHub Live. I'm Joe. I hope you learned something. It was great to have Boris come on talk about ETH Berlin. That's in the Brew event that's happening there. So if you're in the area and around, please come by, come talk to the Near folks that will be there. We're happy to help with stuff. We always have the bounty booster if you're participating in any hackathons that week. We have, again, some great stuff happening. So, follow the newsletter. Vlad, again, thanks for coming on. That was so great to again see how we're actually using this stuff at DevHub to build. And there's just so many tools. I mean, we could probably spend 6 hours really going over all this stuff, but we wanted to give a high level. We'll go deeper with some different stuff as well over time. We are on all the socials. We're on Twitter. We are on TikTok. We are on Instagram. This is streaming live on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter X. So please keep following along. There's going to be more and more stuff coming out. We have tons of great guests lined up over the next few weeks, but we will be here every Thursday at 5 UTC. And I hope to see you again this time next week. Thanks, everyone. Take care now.